Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Nexus 2.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Became a Vampire, Senju Heir, Dark Harem, Part 1, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto held back a scream as he felt the sunlight burn into his skin. He felt like someone was pouring acid over him. He knew this would happen. He should have just stayed inside and done his best to resist the thirst. But no, he couldn't. Sakura had been cut bad and he couldn't stay near her. He stood outside the cave with his eyes closed. I can't stand it. Why am I so damn thirsty? I can't even finish a mission without having an episode. Kami, help me if I don't get myself under control. Asuma-sensei will kill me if no one else. He was 17 and a vampire. However, unlike every other vampire, he had never had a drop of blood. But times like this made him ache for it, and times like this were happening far too often. Naruto let the sunlight torture his skin. It wasn't like his skin was actually burning. He wasn't a complete blood yet. Only vampires who had drank the blood of the one who turned them burned. It was said that the strongest vampires also had the most weaknesses. Complete bullshit. It took 7 of us to take that one vamp down. Hell, I had to put a Rasengan through its face. Naruto recalled the look that the vampire had given him. I felt guilty killing that monster. Shit. It was like I betrayed it or something. Hey Naruto, what's wrong? Don't tell me you got bit. Sasuke asked this more as a joke than a real question. First of all, newly bitten people didn't last long in sunlight. Second, anyone with a grain of sense would mention it right off the bat. There was really only one sure way to stop the infection and it wasn't pleasant. If you were bitten on an arm or a leg, you could be saved if the limb was immediately amputated. Geez. I wish Sasuke never got a sense of humor. He's damn morbid. Naruto said, No, I wasn't bit, dumbass. Sasuke smirked. He was the one who always called Naruto that. It was always proof that he was upset when Naruto started flinging it around. Sasuke said, Then stop acting so weird. Sakura's worried about you and won't stop yapping. Naruto thought that was funny. Since all this vampire stuff had started, Sakura had really changed. He supposed it came with all the stuff that had happened in the past 2 years. Out of the blue, Sasuke asked, Do you remember when we heard that the Akatsuki was destroyed? Naruto nodded. He remembered it well. How could he not, since that was pretty close to when he was bitten? Sasuke rubbed his neck where Orochimaru's curse mark had once been. He said, I would have preferred to fight them, you know. He couldn't help but agree. The Akatsuki had been bad, yeah. They had even been killing Jinchuriki and stealing their demons for something, but at least they didn't spread this cursed taint. Naruto said, It's still hard for me to believe that one vampire killed the whole organization. They both stood in silence. The Naruto said, You know what else is hard to get used to? Sasuke tilted his head in question. He continued, It's you being pleasant company. The raven-haired Uchiha frowned. Don't be throwing comments like that around. I'm not the only one who changed. You're a lot smarter than you used to be. Naruto thought. I'm not sure whether that was an insult or a compliment. Sasuke said, We should get going. It'll be dark soon. That's right. I can't wait for the sun to fall. Then I can go home and struggle to fall asleep, while trying not to dream about blood. Naruto and Sasuke stood silent as the rest of Team 7, minus Kakashi, and Team 10 left the cave. Soon they were heading back to the village. Naruto tried not to let his thoughts linger on either of the girls. For some reason, certain people always set off his thirst. And girls in particular. Guys set him off too, but not like Sakura, especially when she was bleeding. Naruto didn't even want to think about a certain paled lavender-eyed Hyuga girl. She's always so nice to me and she's so cute all the time. Especially when she pouts. And that pale graceful neck would be so easy to. Naruto mentally shouted inside his head. He should never have gotten bit. He had been so stupid. Now he was paying the price. I can't even stay around other people without wanting to bite and tear them apart. Damn it, why can't I get Hinata out of my head now? You know you want to taste her. That slender throat. Those lovely eyes. Such fine pale porcelain skin. Naruto stopped mid-jump and let himself fall through the tree canopy. He landed easily on the grass below. She wants you to do it to her too. She needs to feel you fangs in her flesh. But don't drain every drop. You'll want her again, Naruto. Choji and Shikamaru dropped down in front of him. They seemed concerned. Choji asked, "Hey, Naruto, are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I just used too much chakra back there. And I've got a headache." Shikamaru said, "I'm not surprised you're tired with you using so many clones so long." Choji nodded in agreement. All three of them stood and joined the rest of their friends, heading back to the village. Naruto laid in bed that night trying to sleep. "I need to get some rest so I can train properly tomorrow. If I don't have any energy again, Sasuke will clobber me. I just can't sleep when I'm thirsty." He reached over the side of the bed and pulled out another bottle of water. It was his fifth this hour. He would need to use the rest room again soon. And that would wake him up again. If only there was something a little more staying than water. Abruptly his mind was flooded with images of all the people he made skin contact with that day. Then thoughts of his lavender-eyed crush started to seep into his mind like blood through a sewer grate. His thoughts turned ever darker as he sipped his water. Naruto-kun. Hinata looked at him pleading. Her eyes wide with want. Her hands grasping his own. He could hear her pulse in his head and he could feel it through her hands. She bit her lip and immediately blood spilled out over her chin. Too much blood. Way too much. She lip couldn't possibly bleed so much. It coated her mouth as she went to wipe her face. It was trickling down her chin and dripping onto her sweater, and under her sweater. Running over her, under her jacket as the fabric slowly turned red. He let go of her hands but he could still feel her pulse, in the roof of his mouth, through the roots of his fangs. He tried to close his eyes, but they were held open. Crimson covered Hinata's pale skin. Her pale rose-colored lips held in a shy smile. She spoke again. Naruto-kun, please, can I have a taste? She opened her mouth slightly and he saw two small white fangs. Naruto lashed out and his fist connected with the wall. His fist went through the hard wood like paper match. His heart beat 10 miles a minute. He could hear his own pulse in his ears and ... "Oh, my teeth hurt." He moaned in pain. It wasn't good pain. Like when he felt pain under the sun. When it felt like he was purifying himself. This was red pain. This pain longed for satisfaction, for sweet blood. Naruto cradled his head. Go away. You want her. You need her. Find her. Kiss her and then take her. Then bite her and drain her. She'll come back for more. She will want it. You already want it. Why resist? You to hell, whatever you are. I don't want you in my head. You'll see things my way. You can't help it. The pain in his head diminished as the voice faded, but he was left with his thirst worse than it had been in over a year. Naruto uncurled and reached for another bottle of water. Twisting the cap off, he knocked it back and spat it out. It tasted like sewer water and felt like liquid sandpaper. I can't even drink water anymore. Naruto laid back down and quieted his aching thirst thought sheer force of will. Then he let himself slip into an uneasy slumber. He licked up between her soft globes of flesh. Hinata moaned and shifted. Her hands were buried in his hair as he made his way to her lips. He kissed her long and hard. She smelled like an ocean of blood. An oasis, and she was right there, begging him to do it, and do it again. She moaned, "Naru, too, please." He teased her by gently nipping at her throat and neck. She whimpered. Naruto felt her heart beat through her chest that touched his. He pulled back to drink in her beautiful form. He said, "You're beautiful, Hinata-chan. Let me bite you." She nodded vigorously, wanting to feel his teeth sink into her delicate arms, her wide hips, and her tender neck. He bent his head to sample her pale throat. Sasuke stood with Sakura on the bridge that overlooked the river running through Konoha. Sasuke said, "That Dobi is never this late." Sakura nodded, scooting closer to Sasuke. She said, "You know how Naruto is. It's not like we're doing anything important today. Just training." Sasuke stared out over the river. He said, "That's just it, Sakura. Naruto is always over the top about training. And he was making a big deal about some new jutsu he learned. I'm amazed he wasn't here early." Sakura looked surprised herself, but not for the same reason. Sasuke didn't usually talk much, he rarely showed concern for others, and he never showed interest in Naruto. She had to ask, "Are you okay, Sasuke-kun?" He didn't answer her. He was busy looking to his left where, how could I possibly have missed him? Naruto was leaning on the bridge railing looking over the river as well. Sakura saw Naruto as well and gasped. Naruto looked like he had seen Orochimaru's ghost in his bathroom. He had bags under his eyes, which were intense but somehow, blank. He was pale as the snake Sannin too. He looked haunted. Sasuke remembered that look well. It was the same look he had when he had killed Itachi. Sakura whispered, "Naruto." He couldn't have heard her, but his head turned in their direction. Sasuke, unnerved, took a step back. Naruto looked back over the bridge. He asked, "How do I look? Hope I don't look as bad as I feel." Naruto looked back at them. He smirked, the expression looking like a death grimace. "Must be pretty bad if you guys can't even talk." Sakura got the courage to speak. "What happened to you, Naruto?" She was concerned that Naruto had some sort of illness. Vampires carried all kinds of diseases that they were immune to. Even if they didn't bite you, they could still make you suffer. Naruto shook his head slowly. "Nah, I just couldn't sleep last night. But I came here to ask if you two could let me get some rest for a day or two. Maybe I'll get back to feeling normal." Sasuke nodded but wondered if Naruto was having nightmares. He used to have them. But even he couldn't remember looking so utterly trashed. Sakura watched as Naruto walked away. She asked Sasuke, "Is Naruto alright?" Sasuke honestly didn't know. Naruto knew he was in trouble. His every sleeping moment was a blood-drenched fantasy and every waking one was filled with temptation. Girls walking by with their necks exposed, not even knowing how hard it was for him not to just reach out and taste. And he couldn't keep the images out of his head. And he couldn't stop thinking about Hinata, sweet, innocent, shy, beautiful Hinata. He could practically taste her on the tip of his tongue. His fangs ached for her tender affections. Damn. Shit. Why can't I stop thinking about her? As Naruto made his way through the village, he allowed his mind to wander and his feet to take him on a random course. He let himself imagine what it would be like to caress her face in his hands. To trace her curves with a finger while she slept, just beside him. He thought of ways to make her blush. Naruto loved the way she blushed red and lost her ability to talk. It was irresistible to him, and when she pouted. He had only seen it once, when Hanabi had stolen her favorite jacket and hidden it. Ever since he had wanted to be the reason for that pout. Naruto could feel himself returning to normal. The color came back to his skin and he lost his haunted look. It was replaced by one that much more resembled longing. But in the back of his mind he was still thirsty. He felt like it would take a lake of blood just to settle his hunger once. Naruto kept his thoughts away from such things as long as he could. He was still walking when he ran into someone. Instantly he knew who it was. He heard a sharp intake of breath followed by an eep. Naruto had to use his blood power. He had to get as far away from her as he could. He felt his eyes go red and he flashed across the village, all the way to the top of the Hokage stone faces. There he lay on his back gasping in the sunlight. Now that he had used his powers, the sun's early morning light felt only mildly warm. Almost pleasant. Hinata stood up from where she had fallen. She looked around the street. There was no one else out at this early hour. Most people were still having breakfast. Who did I run into? It looked like Naruto for a second, but Naruto-kun likes me as a friend. He would have helped me up or even offered to walk me home. Who was that? Hinata felt a pang of sadness that he only saw her as a friend. For a few months she had thought that Naruto had developed deeper feelings for her. He was always around and it seemed like she would walk by him a dozen times in a day, but when she asked Sakura if Naruto was still crushing on her, Sakura said that she thought so. But since about 2 years ago, Naruto had become quite scarce. Training hard in solitude like he used to as a genin. The Konoha 12 all assumed that Naruto was isolating himself from his friends so that he could master his primary jutsu, the Rasengan and Shadow clones. But when she had built up the courage to ask Sasuke why Naruto was always going off alone, the Uchiha only made some comment about Naruto being the most unpredictable ninja alive and that no one could guess his motives. Coming from Sasuke, that was a compliment. But she was still worried about her Naruto. She wanted to be around him more and she lamented her bad luck. She hadn't had a mission with him in over a year. Kiba always seemed to be going on missions with Naruto. Hinata wondered if she should ask Kiba what was going on with the blonde fox boy. Hinata walked into Tsunade's office. Shino was already there, as was Kiba. Kurenai was strangely absent. Tsunade looked up in annoyance as she entered. She said, "You're finally here, Hinata. Good. I have a B rank mission for you." Kiba pumped his fist in the air. He had been doing lame C ranks for weeks. Shino made absolutely no move. Hinata stammered, "But, where is Sensei?" Kiba said, "She's off doing some big mission with Asuma and Kakashi. Something to do with vampires, I can guarantee you." Tsunade said, "This is an important mission, but it's rather specific. I chose you three because you work well with Naruto." Hinata asked excited, "Naruto's going to be on the mission with us?" Tsunade nodded. However, the Hokage looked grim. Shino asked, "Why is Naruto going?" Tsunade said, "Because you're going to be acting as escorts." Escorts? All three asked in unison. The Hokage nodded and stood. She walked around the table saying, "I don't give this information to just anybody, so listen closely. And don't repeat what I tell you to anyone. This mission should be an A rank or higher, but that might draw attention to you." Kiba seemed suspicious, so why not send Naruto with a couple of jonin if the client wants the hero of the leaf so bad? Tsunade said, "Naruto is the client." Shino asked, "What do you mean by that?" Hinata asked, "Why would Naruto be a client? I didn't know. We could take out missions for ourselves." Tsunade said, "I came up with this mission on Naruto's behalf. Now allow me to explain. Naruto has been acting rather strange lately, hasn't he? Well, 2 years ago he was sent on a mission and contracted a debilitating illness. We have been able to suppress the symptoms, mostly, but he needs a cure. Unfortunately, the illness was never diagnosed before he got it. So it's taken a massive amount of time and research to find a possible treatment. You three will be taking Naruto to a special medical bunker west of the village." She pulled a scroll out of her desk drawer. She handed it to Shino. Hinata and Kiba both looked stricken. Kiba asked, "Wait, you're saying that all those missions me and Naruto have been doing for the past 2 years? He was running around with some kind of crippling disease." Tsunade nodded. Hinata stepped back till her back was against the office wall. Then she slid down the wall. She thought, "That's why he turned back into a loner. He has been suffering this whole time and I didn't even notice. How can I say that I love him if I can't even tell when he's in pain? Did he stop coming around so often because he was sick?" Tsunade and Kiba watched Hinata curled up into a ball by the wall. Tsunade asked, "What happened to her?" Shino said, "You know. Hinata has been infatuated with Naruto for years. She's probably taking it hard that she didn't notice or try to help Naruto sooner." Shino's tone was flat, but Kiba could tell by his scent that he was worried for Hinata. Kiba said, "Hinata, snap out of it. Naruto will be fine. That's why we're going on this mission." Tsunade shook her head, "I don't want to get your or Naruto's hopes up. This is only going to be a chance at curing him. I can't promise anything. Kiba paled and Hinata buried her head in her hands. After a moment Tsunade said, "You three need to find Naruto and tell him where you're going. As soon as you find him, leave immediately." A pained voice came from the open window. "No need to come find me." Kiba looked to the window in shock. He should have smelled Naruto before he even got close to the tower. Shino also registered surprise. Hinata looked up to see Naruto in on the window ledge. She stood quickly, turning red with embarrassment. Naruto glanced at her, but his eyes went back to Tsunade after a second. He said, "I need to talk with you alone." Before he could finish speaking, Hinata had her arms around him, hugging him tight. She sobbed into his shoulder. "I'm sorry, Naruto. Kun. I didn't know you were sick. I should have asked. What was wrong?" Naruto was pale and tense like a coiled spring. He managed to say, "Hinata, you shouldn't be hugging me right now." She disengaged a second later, trying not to cry. She asked, "Is it contagious?" Naruto said, "Sort of, just not like that." Tsunade shouted, everyone out of the room besides Naruto. Kiba, Hinata, and Shino filed out of the office. As soon as they were gone, Naruto growled, "Why did you assign them to me? You could have picked anyone else. But I can't go on a mission with them." Tsunade said, "Keep your voice down. They are just outside. Besides, they were the only full team available and don't you get it, Granny? I can't go on a mission with her. I can't." Tsunade noticed the shift from them to her. She thought that Naruto must have been concerned for Hinata. She said, "Hinata will be fine on this mission, Naruto. She won't be in any serious danger unless you are spotted by the enemy." Naruto shook his head violently and walked over to look her in the face. He said, "I'm not afraid of her getting hurt. I'm afraid of hurting her." Tsunade understood now. Hinata must have been setting Naruto off. They had learned later on during the epidemic that vampires tended to be drawn to certain people. It could be anyone for any reason. But Naruto shouldn't have even been tempted. He had a massive seal on his chest, similar to the one that kept the Kyuubi chained. Its express purpose was to keep the hunger at bay. Tsunade said, "You will be fine, Naruto. Even if the cure doesn't work, we can still rework the seal with ease." Naruto was not convinced. He could smell her sweet fragrance in the hall and her heartbeat was clear and oh so tempting. The urge to dash out of the room and sink his fangs into her was overpowering. Her blood would be like the sweetest chocolate, yet red and thick. He could drink to his heart's desire because she was right outside. He could kill this old hag. Then he would rip apart Kiba and Shino. Hinata would be his then and he could smell the spilled blood already. Go ahead and do it. Feast on them. Show them the power that you possess. There was a knock at the door and Kiba poked his head in. He asked, "Don't we need to be going soon? Come on, Naruto, you can talk to the Hokage when we get back from curing you." Naruto looked to Tsunade, who nodded. So he reluctantly walked out of the office. They left the village within the hour. Naruto sat with his back against a tree, in front of a blazing fire. Hinata was asleep and Shino was scouting a small circuit around the camp. Kiba was sitting across from him on the other side of the fire. The dog boy looked into the flames, the tongues of fire danced in his eyes. Naruto smelled the wood smoke. It mixed with an irresistible scent, which drifted from where Hinata lay in her sleeping bag. Naruto felt his fangs pulse with need. He in a sharp breath. The voice spoke in his mind. Convincing, helpful, friendly, and soothing. Go on. Just kill the dog and his master. You can do it, silently. They won't even feel the pain. Then you can drain them both dry. After that you can go find the other one. Slit his throat and then come back for her. Wake her with a kiss. She'll wake up and smile. You know you want to see her smile. She might even kiss you back. Take her into the forest and drink till she moans. Drink till she falls limp in your hands. Naruto refused to give in to the voice. It wouldn't go away though. It continued, feeding him lies as he sat by the fire. But the voice was right. He knew she would smile. She still had that crush on him. She would say his name and probably wouldn't even notice Kiba's or Akamaru's corpses. Especially if he kissed her again. If he slipped into the sleeping bag with her. She might gasp in surprise, but she wouldn't mind. It would start to get hot under the covers. He would wait until she was moaning his name before he bit her, sinking his sharp fangs into her neck. Naruto jerked awake the next morning. The sheer amount of energy in his leap, bringing him to his feet. His heart was beating fast in his chest and his throat felt like he had trudged through a desert for a week only to find a vending machine that only dispensed Diet Pepsi. Kiba wasn't there and Shino was asleep. But Hinata was awake. She had her back to him, tending the fire. It was still only just light out. Naruto knew today was going to be a bad day. He just knew it. Naruto glanced around the camp and then pulled the zipper on his jacket down. Then he peeked under his black shirt. The seal that kept his hunger in check was still there, but it was pulsing a dull red, like molten metal. Naruto looked back up to Hinata. Her long dark hair was lustrous and thick. He wanted to run his fingers through it. He wanted to kiss the back of her neck and have her on top of him so that her hair could form their own private world for them. But that was going to be so hard to do. How can I be gentle with her when all my body wants is to bite her throat and drain her blood from her? How can I love someone who I can't be around? Damn it. I hate being a vampire. I wish I never met Hinata so that at least she would be safe. As Naruto watched, she turned and started to pack her things for an early start. As she did, he saw Kiba walk out of the trees and into their small camp. Kiba woke Shino and soon the camp was all packed. Shino said, "It's only half a day's journey from here, so let's keep moving." All three of them nodded, Naruto trying not to lick his lips when he looked at Hinata. Shizune grimaced as she studied the lad sheet. It showed that the cure they were working on was degrading fast. If they didn't inject Naruto with the cure soon, they would have to make another batch, which took about a month. If that happened, then Naruto would have to stay there so he would have the cure fresh. There was a beep somewhere in the lab and Shizune heard someone speaking over the intercom. "Attention! Naruto has arrived. Prepare the test room immediately." Naruto was escorted by Shizune into a large white room. The whole complex was underground and that suited him just fine. Shizune asked him questions as she motioned for him to sit on a long white table. He had always liked Shizune. She reminded him of what any big sister should be like. She asked, "How is your thirst level, Naruto?" He shook his head, "You don't even want to know." Shizune raised an eyebrow. "It's that bad, is it? Then let's see the seal." Naruto pulled off his jacket and black shirt. Stepped back in horror. Her back hit the wall. Naruto looked down at his chest. His eyes went wide when he saw it. His 8 trigram seal for the Kyuubi had been around his belly button. Now it was over his heart and the 4 trigram seal was merging with it. Both seals glowed a dull orange. He couldn't believe what was happening, but he didn't want it to continue. He shouted, "Where is the cure already? Stick me with it." Shizune calmed herself and stepped forward. She picked up the hypodermic needle and placed it at Naruto's neck. He felt a slight sting and the odd cool sensation of the substance entering his bloodstream. Shizune stepped back saying, "That's it. If it works then you should be cured within a half an hour or so." Naruto nodded as the cool sensation spread throughout his body. It felt like he was lying on a giant ice pack. Then the sensation changed. He gasped and fell off the table. His blood was boiling. Like every drop was on fire. He felt his eyes change and his fangs extend. His whole body cramped and he lay still on the cold floor, trying not to move. It was like someone was running an electric current through his artery. Shizune didn't know what to do, whether to run out of the room and lock the door, or run to Naruto. A moment later he lay completely still, while she saw the muscles of his back twitch and spasm of their own accord. She made her decision and stepped towards him. Naruto lifted his head and looked at her. His eyes were glowing red slits. The pupils so narrow they almost disappeared into the red. Two long fangs extended from his upper lip and his whisker marks were jagged black lines. Shizune changed her mind. She darted for the door. Before she took a single step she felt burning pain cut across her back, from her neck to her leg. His claws tore her back open and she lay still on the floor trying not to move. Naruto or whatever was controlling him stepped on her back as it left the room. She saw its feet as it rent the door in two. Then it was gone. Shizune prayed that this was just some kind of terrible reaction to the cure, instead of Naruto fully turning. Kiba smelled blood. A large amount of it was gushing somewhere. He said, "Shino, Hinata, do you sense anything? I just smelled a huge amount of blood." Shino shook his head once. "I sense nothing." Hinata activated her Byakugan, and froze. Her eyes shot open wide in terror. "Naruto-kun." Kiba jumped to his feet as he heard a gurgling cry from down the hall. The same hall that Naruto and Shizune had went down. Shino and Kiba were in the lead as they dashed down the hall. All three stopped as they rounded the corner. Hinata fainted in an instant and her head hit the ground with a smack. There were 4 bodies in the hall. 2 men had been eviscerated. One was missing his head. Blood was splattered everywhere. One woman was pierced through by multiple surgical tools. She was still conscious, but quickly bleeding out. Her eyes failing to focus on her attacker. The last victim was being hoisted a foot of the ground by Naruto. He was pressed against her, his hands holding her still, while he drank. She wasn't injured save for his fangs in her neck. Her small moans were music to his ears. Her blood was intoxicating. So tasty it was a shame there was only one of her. She convulsed in his grasp. Naruto felt her life blood ebbing and he dropped her. He wanted to save her for later. It had been so incredibly satisfying to drain her. He had been aiming for her the whole time. The 2 slain men and the soon-to-be dead woman had tried to slay him. It had felt good to kill them, but they weren't tasty like she was. Naruto looked back at the girl. He smiled and dragged her into a nearby room. As the door opened he smelled fear and anger. He looked up. There were 2 medical ninjas at the other side of the room. One was an older man, his hands already working on a jutsu of some kind. Naruto flashed in front of him and grabbed his head in one hand. The older man activated his jutsu and a blinding flash of light lit the room. Naruto blinked and twitched in momentary fear. When he was still alive and unburned when the light faded, he grinned. The old man's skull cracked. Naruto let go as he toppled to the floor. The girl, who had short brown hair and beautiful brown eyes, backed up against a long table. "Please don't hurt me. Please don't. Please." Naruto heard the plea in her voice, but he knew she would be so sweet. He pounced, his weight throwing her back onto the table. Her eyes were wide with terror and tears flowed freely down her face. Naruto caressed her face. "Don't cry please. I hate when people cry." Her breath hitched as she forced herself to stop crying. She begged, "Don't do it please. I don't want to be a monster." Naruto nuzzled her chin and slowly sank his fangs into her neck. "You won't be a monster." He smelled her neck. She smelled like cloves. He began to drink. Her hands pressed at his chest trying to push him off, balling into fists to lamely beat at him. After a moment her arms fell to her sides. She was making delightful little noises. Her breath was quick and her scent thickened with his feasting. Her blood was delicious and thick. He didn't waste a single drop. As he drank he felt the last of his hunger subside. He let go of her and slipped of the table. Naruto left the white room. He could hear and smell the panicked movement of the others in the bunker. Then he picked up the scent of someone he knew. He thought, Shizune. It was only a moment before he found her. She was sitting on the white table in the room where he had received the cure. She was wrapping a bandage around herself. She looked up as he entered the room. She did the only sensible thing she could think of. She quickly inhaled and did 3 hand signs. Then she exhaled a cloud of paralysis gas. Naruto walked through it. He found her on the other side. Her struggles to get free were much stronger than the last girl, but he finally found her throat. He only drank a fraction of her blood before pulling away. She looked at him in blank fear, thinking he was going to kill her outright. But then he said, "Sorry for hurting you. I really didn't mean to. You should be better now." Shizune felt the pain in her back disappear. Her blood felt like it was heating up, getting hotter and hotter, without being painful. Sweat broke out on her face. She fell back onto the table as Naruto left. He was on the hunt now. He could smell the one he had longed for. She wasn't far away. Soon he would have her in his arms. Each hall he passed was deserted. But he tracked the scent like a bloodhound. Images of her filled his mind. All the dreams he had been having for months were telling him to find her and make her his. Naruto found her with Kiba and Shino. They had obviously gotten lost, and without Hinata's Byakugan, they couldn't find their way out. The bunker was a maze and they were the cheese. Naruto had turned into a very hungry rat. Kiba shook Hinata hard, trying to wake her up. He didn't want to die here, and Hinata was his only ticket to freedom. Shino said, "Don't bother, he's here." Kiba looked over his shoulder. Sure enough, the monster that wore Naruto's face was standing right there. Shino said, "Kiba, protect Hinata. I will deal with Naruto." Naruto gave him a skeptical look. That gave Shino pause. He thought, did he just understand what I said? Vampires aren't supposed to retain intelligence. Only raw cunning and hunger. Naruto said, "Give me Hinata, Shino." Kiba looked at him in shock. Vampires never spoke with reason. Shino asked, "Can you understand what we're saying?" The blonde vampire scratched his head. He asked, "Is that some kind of joke, 'cause you're not too good at those?" Shino's jaw dropped. "How can you?" Impatient, Naruto took a step towards them. Kiba jumped to his feet. "You're not laying a claw on her, you monster." Naruto frowned. "What did you call me?" Kiba said, "What else do you call a vampire? We saw you in the hallway. How many people have you killed already?" Naruto growled, "Shut up, dog breath." Then Kiba was up against the wall next to Hinata. Naruto's clawed hand wrapped easily around his throat. Naruto said, "They attacked me. They tried to kill me, so I killed them first." Kiba managed to say, "Then why were you feeding on that girl?" A flash of self-loathing darkened Naruto's face. His eyes swam and the red disappeared from them. He dropped Kiba and fell to his hands and knees. Naruto shivered uncontrollably and felt his blood freeze inside him. Kiba and Shino dragged Hinata away from him. They watched him, still aware that he could probably tear them apart, even mortally wounded. And Naruto wasn't injured, so he was even more dangerous. Shino felt Hinata stir and looked down. Her head rose. The first thing she saw was Naruto, who had just laid down flat on the stone floor, unable to move. She lunged forward. Kiba was too caught off guard to stop her, and Shino was too slow. Hinata half ran, half crawled to where Naruto lay. She put an ear to his back. His heartbeat pounded, heavy but slow. Hinata turned back to Kiba. "What happened to him?" Shino said, "He's a vampire now. I think. But he retained his mind somehow. He just collapsed before you woke up." Hinata rolled Naruto over. His eyes were closed and his seal was still visible. The two rings seemed to have fused together over his heart. She stared at them. Then she felt a hand in hers. She looked down. Naruto's fingers held on to her hand. Naruto's other arm moved, trying to lever himself up. Hinata put a hand behind his back, helping him sit up. Kiba shouted, "Hinata, get away from him. He's a monster now. He'll you dry first chance he gets." Hinata looked back at him. Kiba had never seen Hinata wear that expression. It was burning anger. The look was so intense that he winced away from it. Shino stood and walked over to her. Hinata gave him a mistrustful look. She said, "You're not going to kill Naruto-kun. I don't care what he is." Shino didn't respond. Instead, he crouched in front of Naruto. He asked, "Is the cure taking effect now?" Naruto opened his eyes. They were orange with blue striations running through, turning parts of his iris purple. His slit pupils were gone. Naruto massaged his throat. He tried to speak, but all that came out was a weak croak. Hinata activated a basic healing jutsu and placed a hand over his throat. He groaned in relief and coughed. Hinata saw that he had two long white fangs. Shino saw this too. They gave Naruto time to recover. Eventually he spoke. I don't. No. I'm thirsty. It's just. I don't want to kill anymore. Hinata hugged him. Naruto stiffened, but soon relaxed. His blood still felt like ice, but he was getting warmer. He could taste Hinata's scent. It was incredible and it was stirring his hunger. Kiba saw Naruto head resting on Hinata's neck. He leapt for them, shoving Hinata away from Naruto. He whipped out his kunai saying, "Come on Shino, help me finish him off." He made a move to stab Naruto through the eye, but felt himself lifted and slammed against the far wall. Hinata dealt Shino a hefty blow to the chest, sending him across the room as well. He hadn't moved, but she wouldn't risk one of them hurting her Naruto. Kiba stood saying, "Why the hell did you stop me? You're in danger." Hinata said, "I told you. You won't touch him. I love him. I won't let you hurt him." Kiba looked angry now. He roared, "Didn't you hear what he said? He said he was thirsty. He wants to drink your blood." Hinata. She glared at her teammate. She said, "Then he can do whatever he wants to me. I don't care what you think." That shocked Kiba out of his anger. Shino said, "You do realize that if he bites you, you will likely turn into a vampire?" She nodded. Kiba asked, "What the hell are you thinking, Shino? Are you saying you're fine with Naruto turning her into a blood monster?" Kiba walked towards them. "I'm sorry, but I care for you too much to see him turn you into one of those things." Kiba rushed forward and performed a series of hand signs. He shouted, "Beast style, piercing claws." Kiba threw his hand forward and his claws seemed to extend to an impossible length, pointing straight for Naruto. "Move. Now." Naruto leapt straight up from his sitting position and twisted in mid-air. He came down on Kiba's claws. They snapped off close to Kiba's hand. The Inuzuka regarded him with a look of fear which mixed with anger. Naruto felt the whisper of breath coming from Kiba's mouth as he smashed his hand into his chest. Shino looked on in shock. One moment Naruto had dodged the attack and the next he had his hand buried in Kiba's chest. No one moved as the dust settled. Naruto's fingers were embedded up to the knuckles in Kiba's chest. The dog boy coughed up blood. It spattered over Naruto's face. Red-colored Naruto's eyes again and his mouth was open, revealing his fangs. Naruto said, "I want to kill you. I want to drain every drop of blood from your body, and if you ever attack me or Hinata, I will, but you're still my friend. So I'll let you live." Naruto withdrew his hand from Kiba. His opponent collapsed to the floor. Naruto raised his bloody fingers to his lips and licked the blood off. It wasn't very appetizing. He sniffed the air. He looked back to Hinata. She was staring at him in shock. But the love she had for him was there too. Naruto felt the red leave his eyes, though his thirst never wavered. He walked over to her and bent down. He had been planning on doing something, he was sure of it. But suddenly the ground rushed up to meet him. He briefly thought that he had been knocked out, but realized that he had been ignoring his thirst. He thought, "So this is what I get for giving in. I only do it 3 times and now I can't go 20 minutes without a drink. Kami, did I really become a monster so quickly?" Naruto opened his eyes what seemed like a moment later and was blinded by sunlight. It was soon blotted out by Hinata's face. She looked very scared and worried. She asked, "Naruto-kun, are you alright? What happened?" He felt that he was lying on soft grass with his head in someone's lap. His mind connected the dots far too slowly. Naruto croaked out, "How long was I out?" Shino's voice came from nowhere, "You've been unconscious for over an hour." Just Shino saying how long he had been out made his fangs ache. The sheer weight of more than an hour without blood was frightening. Naruto managed to sit up, barely. He looked around, recognizing the area as being just outside the bunker. There were a few other people lying around them. Shino tended to one of them. It was a girl, of average height with long blonde hair. She seemed to be sleeping. Naruto thought that he had seen her before. He asked, "Who is that?" Shino looked up. "Are you saying you don't remember her? She is one of the people you bit. But it's strange. They show no signs of turning yet. It's odd. They should have started to get a sunburn after being in the sun for 30 minutes. Naruto gave Shino a blank look. He couldn't understand what he was talking about over the pounding in his head. Hinata's soft cheek pressed to his as she hugged him from behind. He could practically see himself turning and sinking his teeth into her. Naruto struggled to his feet and stumbled away from her. Even with all the effort to find her and make her his, he couldn't bite her. She was too precious. Just like Kiba said, "Do it. Bite her. Drink." Naruto took long breaths to slow his heartbeat. It required all of his self-restraint not to leap at Hinata, fangs first. But then she stood and walked over to him. He said, "Stay away from me. I won't bite you. I can't do that to you, Hinata." She knelt down by him. She asked, "Why did you stop hanging around with me 2 years ago?" Naruto knew exactly why. It was already running through his head. Naruto said, "I was just bit and I couldn't put you in danger. I avoided you since then to protect you." Hinata nodded. She slowly said, "You did all that to protect me, Naruto-kun. Let me help you now, please." She turned her back to him, and sat almost in his lap. Hinata pulled her hair to the side saying, "Go ahead, Naruto-kun. Don't hold back, please. I won't let you suffer because of me." Naruto was transfixed by the fat throbbing artery in her neck. Shino asked from where he was tending to an unconscious Shizune, "Are you sure about this? I can't stop you, but you need to think before you act, Hinata." She nodded. Naruto couldn't stop himself. She was right there offering him what he so badly needed. He kissed her neck then bit down. Hinata screamed a little from the sudden feeling of his teeth in her neck. Shino looked away as he saw Naruto bury his face in her crook of Hinata's neck. He had seen many bizarre rituals and traditions. Being the heir to the Aburame clan meant that you were part of a living taboo, but even to him, it was uncomfortable to see Naruto drinking her blood. At first Hinata felt only intense pain. Then it seemed to dull as a wave of warmth washed over her. It felt like she had slipped into a hot tub head first. Then she felt a feeling in her chest, like butterflies, but much more intense. A red film slipped over her vision as Naruto drank. She was having a hard time keeping her eyes open. A overwhelming feeling of lethargy had taken over. Naruto drank greedily. Hinata's blood was going to drive him into a frenzy. It was amazing. Naruto felt the muscles in her neck relax. He pulled out of her neck. She gasped and moaned at the sensation of his fangs being withdrawn. She knew it was wrong. Wrong to want him to bite her again, to feast on her blood, but as soon as he pulled away she wanted more. Wanted him to do it again. When she felt his fangs pierce her skin again she moaned loudly. Her eyes felt heavy and the pleasure that radiated from her neck made her want even more. She wanted him to bite her shoulders and trail his sharp fangs down her arms. Even her. It was like she was being consumed by hot raging hunger. Naruto shared his hunger with her. His thirst imparted to her through her blood. A minute later he withdrew his fangs again. Hinata gasped and let herself sink back into his arms. He felt so warm to her. Blood loss was coaxing her into a deep sleep. Lying in Naruto's arms she willingly gave into sleep. Naruto felt his own eyelids droop. He hadn't had a good night's sleep in weeks. Now that he wasn't thirsty he could at last fall asleep easily. When Naruto opened his eyes again he knew that a long period of time had passed. He sat up and then lay back down. The warning pulse of a potential migraine had blasted his mind apart. He let himself recover from the pain. Naruto instinctively knew that it had been days since he had fallen asleep with Hinata in his arms. His teeth felt heavy, almost like they were pulsing and slow. It wasn't a stretch to guess that he was feeling like crap because he hadn't had any blood. Naruto heard a small groan from a short ways off. Slowly he sat up and looked around. The thrumming in his ears warned him not to move too fast. His eyes quickly adjusted to the gloom. He saw 5 beds, including his own. In the one closest to him, Hinata was sitting up. She rubbed her eyes and tried to stretch. Though she immediately regretted trying. She whimpered in pain and fell back into the blankets that covered her bed. Hinata. Naruto scrambled out of his bed and was by her side in a second. The sudden move made his vision darken for a moment. He pushed the splitting headache out of his mind and looked Hinata over. She bore no wound that he could see, but she was pale. Paler than usual, and she was sweating. Naruto put a hand to her forehead only to find she was burning up. At his touch, her eyes opened. She let out another groan and tried to sit up. He gently pushed her back down. Hinata looked at him. Her lips parted in a pained smile. Naruto's heart froze in his chest. He could see the sharp fangs that hadn't been there a few days ago. Hinata's smile seemed to be made even more beautiful by the addition of fangs, but Naruto couldn't forgive himself for biting her. He had been so weak. Biting her was the truest sign of his weakness that he could have known. Had he kept away from her, even refusing missions where they were together, for nothing. 2 years he had spent staying on the outskirts of her life. All to make damn sure this didn't happen. He felt like a complete shit and a loser. His thoughts were interrupted by Hinata. She had managed to sit up. The look of sheer joy on her face was killing him. How could she be happy when he had turned her into a monster? He felt her arms twine around his neck and she laid her head on his shoulder. Almost as though she could read his mind, Hinata said, "Thank you, Naruto-kun." Naruto pulled away from her. He asked, "For what?" "I bit you and now you're, like me." Hinata's smile widened. She nodded and, blushing, kissed him on the lips. It was short, but it startled him out of his thoughts. She said, "I've always wanted to be just like you, Naruto-kun. Now, I'm just a bit different from everyone else." Naruto thought, just like me. She wants to be just like me, but she can't know what it's like to be me. Hinata, why didn't you run away? Can't you see I'm a danger to everyone? Hinata pulled him into a hug. Naruto let her hold him. He had always wanted this. To be with someone who cared about him and who he cared for, but this version of his happy ending seemed so warped. Hinata saw that he was conflicted. She didn't want him to regret his actions. She thought, I really enjoyed it and I want him to know that I did. But if I tell him how it felt, will he be happy or even more depressed? Oh Naruto, I don't know how to comfort you. Hinata felt something rise in the back of her mind. It had been hiding but now it came forward. She was falling inside herself. She landed flat on her back on hard stone. Pain blossomed along the back of her spine. Hinata groaned and sat up. Her eyes took in the surroundings. She was in a cave of some sort. Grayish-purple stone extended in every direction and shadows clung to everything. Hinata heard someone giggle. Climbing to her feet, Hinata turned around. What? She was standing in front of herself, except herself had some very un-Hinata-like features. She was wearing purple robes that were so dark they were almost black in a crimson-red sash. The sash had 3 vertical black lines that covered either side. Even more startling were the claws. Razor-sharp and an inch long, her claws were like small talons. Hinata's gaze rose to her face. Dark purple eyes with red rings where her lavender pupils should have been. This other Hinata was smiling warmly, displaying 2 long fangs. Then she spoke, "Dear Hinata-chan, why do you look surprised? Can you not believe what you see? After all, your eyes are mine." Hinata took a step backward. "Who are you? What do you want with me?" The girl took a slow step forward. Her smile turned malicious. "Oh, what do I want with you? Now that is a difficult question. I suppose I want to be you, or more to the point, I want you to be me. Who are you? Where is Naruto-kun? Where am I?" The girl took several steps forward. "All in due time, but don't worry about Naruto-kun. He will be waiting for us, as long as it takes. Hinata backed up further and further. Her other self continued to advance slowly. You know you're trying to run from yourself. It's not accomplishing anything, Hinata thought. How can this be happening? What am I doing here? How do I get out? I have to escape. I don't know who this, me is, but I can't let her touch me. Are you still trying to run? Oh dear Hinata, there's nowhere to run. And you see, you've already gone as far as you can. Hinata felt her back touch cold stone. Her copy continued at the same pace, steadily coming closer. Stop resisting and just hear me out. She tried to look away as the girl's hand came to rest on her shoulder. Can't have any of that, can we? An incredibly strong hand turned her head around to look herself in the eye. Hinata felt her copy press her curve sensuously to hers. There's no need to be embarrassed. Hinata squirmed in her grasp and punched out, 2 fingers extended. Her copy gasped in pain and stumbled back. She thought, good, I can fight. I don't know who she really is, but she can't be me. I would have seen that coming. Her body double straightened up, saying, that wasn't very smart. You know, hurting me is like punching yourself in the face. You're only doing damage to yourself. Suddenly Hinata felt a stabbing pain bite cruelly into her chest. She thought, but how? I hit her with the clan's secret technique. She should have died instantly. Should have died instantly, huh? What a joke. You or me. And right now you're being a bitch. I'm only trying to open your eyes. No, you're being mean. How can you do this to me? Her copy was smiling again now. Suddenly she felt herself against the wall. How can you say I'm being mean? I haven't even done anything except talk, yet. Hinata lamely tried to force her away. Naruto. Please help me. Naruto. You silly girl. He can't hear you. If you really want to know who I am, then just think about it. She let go of Hinata and drew back, gesturing to herself. What do you think I am? Hinata tried to think for a moment. The claws, the fangs, the eyes. She's like me, but evil. She said, you're the evil part of my mind. Exclamation mark quote. The copy sighed. No. Well, if you can't figure it out, then I'll have to explain it to you. Do you recall seeing Naruto feasting from that blonde girl 3 days ago? She nodded. I am to you what he is to Naruto. But, I am your hunger, your thirst, your desire to feed, and, to be fed upon. I am your bloodlust. The evil Hinata turned her head and winked. Well, you never had any of that to start with, but don't worry. I have more than enough for the both of us. Hinata felt a gnawing at her gut. A cold tearing sensation, like blades of ice cutting through her. Do you feel that? That's me. And very soon you will know my name. Naruto felt Hinata go limp in his arms. He laid her back down on the bed. What just happened? Did she just faint? Naruto cradled her face. He had no talent for healing and he really didn't know how to help her. For now all he could do is hold her. Naruto watched her face for any change in her expression. But her eyes stayed closed and she didn't move. He felt panic welling up in him as she continued to lie motionless. None of this would have happened if I hadn't given in. Hinata opened her eyes slowly, aware now that her throat was parched. Naruto could have shouted, but he saw the pain in her eyes. They weren't filled with joy anymore. Hinata forced herself to sit up. She felt the hunger, the thirst that was digging grimy fingers into her mind. Hinata tried to open her mouth, but it seemed like it was glued shut. Her body felt weak and feeble. Opening her mouth was beyond her, much less speaking. She didn't know how she had managed to sit up so easily. Then she looked to her left. Her eyes popped open. She had completely forgotten about Naruto. He had a hand behind her back, supporting her. Hinata took a breath in through her nose. A flood of sensory input made her head spin. It smelled like blood. Blood was all around. Naruto reeked of blood. Blood was on his breath, soaked into his clothes. She gasped, surprise opening her mouth for her. It hit her like a wall. Naruto's emotions seemed to be tainting the air she breathed. He tasted of fear and hunger. She didn't understand how, but she could smell, taste, hear his hunger. The same feeling that had been born in her mind rose to meet it. Hinata felt her teeth ache. It made her want to bite down on something. She clenched her teeth, but it didn't help. Naruto moved his body forward and hugged her fiercely. His hands clutched at her back. He said, "I'm so sorry, Hinata. I didn't want to bite you. I know you're in pain now, but if there's anything I can do to make it better, please tell me." Hinata whispered, "Naruto, He pulled back to look her in the eye. He was hopeful and yet concerned as well. She tried to get past the block in her throat. I'm thirsty." Naruto did not catch the implication. He didn't want to. In the back of his mind he knew what she meant, but he wasn't ready for that. He looked around the room they were in. For the first time, really looking. They were in a room, walled off on one side by a substantial cage. There was a wide door set into it. Also in the room were 3 other beds. On each was a sleeping female. Naruto couldn't tell who they were right away. He stepped off the bed and walked over to them. It only took a moment to recognize the first one. It was Shizune. Naruto gaped at her. Why is Shizune here? What is she doing lying in here unattended? Can't you tell? She's one of us now. Naruto's eyes widened. You mean she is a vampire? No, she's much more than that now. And it's all because of you. Naruto was about to ask what he meant by that when he heard Hinata call him. Naruto, please, I need to drink. He turned to look at her. She was sitting up on her own now. Her face was the picture of need. She looked like she was going to die of hunger. She's special now too, thanks to you. Hinata beckoned him forward. He came to her side and sat on the bed with her. She asked, Naruto, can I let her drink? Naruto felt Hinata's breath ghost across his neck. He was frozen in place. He couldn't move. There was something stopping him. Naruto heard Hinata's quiet thank you. Then she bit down hard. Hinata bit deep into Naruto's neck. It felt wonderful to have her fangs pierce his skin. Like biting into a ripe plum, except that she could drink from him. It was so wrong on so many levels to do this. But it was right on all the important ones. Blood poured into her mouth as she. After the first swallow she stopped. The taste was nearly indescribable. She bit down even harder and greedily from the wound. Naruto gasped as she continued drinking. Hinata listened to the voice that spoke with her own mouth. That's right. Drink deeply. Don't waste a drop, Hinata-chan. Hinata mentally nodded. You love it, don't you? The way Naruto-kun tastes. It's much better than you thought, right? Why would you want to resist this? It's natural, isn't it? She felt Naruto struggling to keep upright. She thought, Naruto-kun. Am I drinking too much? I can't tell. It doesn't matter. He can't die from blood loss. Besides, he's enjoying this too, so keep drinking. Satisfy me. Feast until your hunger subsides. A hand crashed down on Hinata's back. Her fangs pulled free of Naruto's neck and he fell sideways, nearly unconscious. Many hands were restraining her. She looked up to see Tsunade and Sakura hovering over her and Naruto. Tsunade examined the blonde. She said, he's still conscious. Put him back on his bed and make sure he doesn't exhaust himself. Tsunade then turned her attention to Hinata. She asked, what do you think you were doing to him, Hinata? She couldn't answer her. She didn't think she could say anything that would make a difference. Tsunade said, Sakura, come and take a sample of blood from Hinata. Sakura asked, what about Naruto-kun? Tsunade shook her head, never mind him for now. He doesn't have much blood left anyway. Hinata felt cold steel enter her arm, then she felt blood being drawn out. A burning pit of fury opened up in her mind. Only Naruto is allowed to do that. Kill them. Hinata lashed out, her arm catching Sakura in the face. The blow crumpled the pinkett in a heap. Tsunade whipped out a second syringe and plunged it into Hinata's chest. Hinata grabbed Tsunade's wrist and squeezed. The Hokage grimaced as she felt the bones in her wrist snap and the shards grind together. She made no move, however, as she waited for the quick-acting paralytic to work. A few moments later, Hinata's strength disappeared. She still tried to resist, but Tsunade firmly pressed her back down with her free hand. Tsunade then pried the fingers loose from her broken wrist. Ino, who had just been checking up on Shizune, gasped at her injury. When did that happen, Hokage-sama? Tsunade grimaced as she used her powers to knit the bones back together. She said, Hinata has acquired some pretty monstrous strength from being bitten. I shouldn't have tried to restrain her like that after we caught her feeding on Naruto. Ino gulped as Sakura got shakily to her feet. Sakura commented, holy crap, she got strong. Where did that power come from? I've only ever been hit that hard once. And that was you, Tsunade-sensei. Tsunade brushed the compliment aside. I'm not your teacher anymore, Sakura. You should know that. But yes, she packs quite a punch now. Be careful. I have no idea how long that shot will last. Ino walked over and looked into Hinata's eyes. They were an incredible shade of purple. She asked, hey, did Hinata's eyes change color? I would have sworn they were a light lavender. Hinata's eyes were angry and desperate as Sakura finished taking a vial of blood. She looked accusingly at Sakura, who tried to avoid her gaze. Hinata seemed to be leveling a mountain of scorn on her. It felt like a physical force. Tsunade saw Sakura freeze. She turned to look between Sakura and Hinata. Noting the intensity of the look, she became uneasy. What the hell is going on here? Sakura felt the absolute shame that Hinata's eyes drilled into her. She thought, it's unbearable, why do I feel like lying down and begging for forgiveness? What is happening to me? Sakura's knees buckled and she collapsed to her knees, breaking eye contact with Hinata. It was several seconds before she cleared her mind. Sakura looked dazedly at her leg, where the syringe containing Hinata's blood was sticking in. Sakura didn't remember stabbing herself. No. No, oh no. Not this. I can't turn into. He thumb had depressed the plunger. Hinata's blood was already flowing through her. Tsunade saw what happened but was too shocked to stop it. One moment Sakura had been locking gazes with Hinata. The next she had fallen to her knees and injected herself with the sample of Hinata's blood. Tsunade realized her mistake. Hinata had been stopped from moving, but not from using her vampiric powers. But Tsunade had never seen anyone use the mind control without even speaking. Tsunade ordered, Ino, blindfold Hinata and gag her. Ino's eye bugged out but she complied. Sakura was still looking at her leg in horror. Tsunade dragged her to her feet and pulled out the needle. She said, snap out of it, Sakura. It can't be helped now. I'm sorry, but we will have to keep you here under quarantine. Ino swallowed hard and went back to restraining Hinata. It took a bit of effort, but soon Hinata was restrained. It was a good thing too, because not a minute later she regained her strength and movement. Ino then hit her with a powerful sedative, while Tsunade took a third vial of blood. They drew blood from everyone else as well. Shizune didn't wake up, but one of the others did. Ami opened her eyes as Tsunade checked her temperature. They weren't using the normal medical equipment because the vampiric taint made their patients too violent. They couldn't get good readings if the patients were thrashing around. Ami looked up at her. Hokage-sama, what are you doing here? Ino answered her, you're in the Leaf Village Isolation Medical Block. We haven't had the occasion to use it for many years though. Tsunade said, actually we had Naruto in here for about a month, 2 years back and then again last year. Oh. The Hokage turned back to Ami. She said, under normal circumstances you would have been killed because you were bitten. However, Naruto, the one who bit you, has been exhibiting very strange behavior. Ino asked, what's your name? The girl sat up and said, my name is Ami. I was assigned to the Leaf Village Hidden Medical Unit of Ambu Black Ops. Ino asked, Hokage-sama, I've never heard of them before. What do they do? Tsunade said, they are a special medical unit that use their medical knowledge in combat. They are frontline fighters that focus on extreme precision to cripple the enemy. Ino thought about it for a moment. Wait, so how did Naruto manage to bit you? If you're so talented to get assigned there. Ami looked down as her cheeks reddened in guilt at embarrassment. She said, one of the chief medical shinobi at the facility tried to vaporize him with a flash bolt jutsu. Ino thought, well, at least they were prepared, but that jutsu takes a lot of time to use. And a lot of chakra. I doubt that he had enough time to get one off. Ami said, but it had no effect even though it hit him dead on. Then Naruto crushed his head in one hand. I was too surprised to move. I had already gathered the chakra to use the same jutsu. But then, both of them thought it was better to let the girl finish than to interrupt. She said, but then he turned to me. I'm ashamed to admit, but I tried to beg for my life. I thought he was going to kill me. He pushed me onto a table. I tried to struggle, but my head was telling me to let him do it. Ami put her hands to her temple. I don't know why. Why did I enjoy it? Ino and Tsunade shared a very concerned look. Ino asked hesitant, did you just say you enjoyed being bitten? From every account they had heard, being bitten by a vampire was painful and turning into one, even more so. Ami looked up and nodded. It felt like, I don't know. She looked away, but her blush was obvious. All three of them heard a groan from the other side of the room. Ino turned around to see Naruto sitting up and shaking his head. Tsunade walked over to him. She asked, are you okay, Naruto? He nodded. Good, then I need to ask you some questions. He nodded again. Tsunade said, Shizune has yet to wake up yet. I need to know what happened at the medical bunker. Were you injected with the cure? Naruto nodded. Ino asked, hey, why aren't you talking, Naruto? You should at least try to be informative. Naruto brought his hand to his throat and then coughed. Tsunade asked, are you trying to say you lost too much blood and can't speak? Naruto nodded and then grimaced. He doubled over in pain. His eyes squeezed shut. Ino asked, what's happening, Lady Tsunade? The Hokage didn't know. It looked like he was going into the first stage of turning, when a person succumbed to being a vampire, but that didn't make sense. Naruto had almost all the characteristics of a vampire already. Naruto started shivering uncontrollably. He looked up trying to mouth something. Ino felt a hand pushing her out of the way. Ami sat on the bed in front of Naruto and exposed her neck. She said, do it. Tsunade and Ino watched as Naruto, gratefully, bit into her skin. Ami's eyes closed as she felt Naruto the blood from her. A familiar feeling of pleasure began to emanate from the bite. Naruto's eyes turned back to a solid red as he drank. He wrapped his arms around Ami and let go of her shoulder. She barely smothered a moan before Naruto slipped his fangs into her neck again. This time her moan wasn't held back. Ino and Tsunade watched in fascination as Naruto's shivering died away and his muscles relaxed. Ami's legs tensed and relaxed with the pulse of her heartbeat. Her eyes darkened as Naruto drank. From where she had sat down against the wall, Sakura saw Naruto feeding on the girl. Little whimpers and other pleasurable sounds escaping her mouth every few seconds. It was quite obvious that she was having a good time. Unbidden there came a call from the back of her mind, you know you want that too. Why don't you join in? Offer yourself to him like she did. Sakura refused to listen to that sweet friendly voice. It was not her friend. It was not her. Naruto pulled away from Ami's neck as he felt her go limp in his arms. She slipped down till her head rested in his lap. She had a sweet smile that made him feel both happy and angry. He couldn't believe that he had given in again so quickly. She gave herself to you. There is no need to be guilty. You should reward her with a taste sometime. No, I'm done listening to you. You can't help it. The more blood you drink, the more you'll come to think like me. Tsunade asked, can you speak now? Naruto coughed once and said, yeah, I'm good now. Ino looked at the girl in Naruto's lap, who had fallen asleep. Tsunade asked, so what happened at the bunker? He leaned back and started. Well, me and Hinata's squad entered the bunker and Shizune dragged me down to the test room or whatever it was really fast. She had all these needles and she took one and stabbed me with it, but that was after she got freaked out by my seal. Tsunade asked, your seal? What happened to it? Naruto unzipped his jacket which someone had put on him, because he hadn't been wearing it a few days ago. Tsunade looked in shock at Naruto's chest. Where is the 4-trigram vampire seal? Exclamation mark. Naruto's chest was completely bare, until he tensed the muscles of his chest and called on his demonic chakra. The seal faded into view. But it had been changed. Tsunade saw that it had moved over his heart and was interlinked with the vampire seal. Naruto said, I don't really know how this stuff works, but back during my first Chunin exams Orochimaru messed with my seal by putting an odd-numbered seal on top of mine. I guess that this vampire seal has combined with the Kyuubi's seal because they look like they fit together somehow. She thought that this was an oversimplified answer, but she also thought that it was on the right track. Jiraiya, in one of his rare moments of genius, had come up with a plan for the seal. He placed it over his heart where it could directly affect his blood. He used the most powerful seal he could do, which was the 4-trigram seal. Last of all, he used a small amount of demonic chakra that naturally leaked from Kyuubi's seal to keep the new one stable. As long as Naruto didn't go into Ninetales state, then the second seal would hold, but it seemed that connecting the seals was a bad idea. Tsunade said, Ino, finish attending to them and seal the door properly. I need to find Jiraiya. Naruto asked, don't you want to know what else happened? She stopped. She really did need to hear the rest of it. Okay Naruto, continue. Naruto said, well, after Shizune injected me with that cure stuff and it felt like she was shooting ice water into me. But after a minute my body started to feel like it was on fire. To tell you the truth, I think that the vampire taint in my blood was burning the cure out of me. Naruto looked at Shizune. And then I attacked her. I don't know why, but I did. Then I went on a rampage through the rest of the place. I don't remember too much except for when I was biting someone or being attacked. There was silence in the room. Naruto watched as Tsunade worked things out in her head. She said, okay, Ino, continue with what I told you. I still need to find Jiraiya, but Naruto, if you feel weird or something is going wrong, tell Ino. She'll be close by. Just give a shout if you need something. He nodded and Tsunade walked out. Ino finished her checkup on the blonde girl and Shizune. Then she walked over to Sakura. She bent down. Are you okay, Sakura? The pink-haired girl shivered and said, what does it look like? Of course I'm not okay. Ino said, well, try to take it easy and do talk to Naruto. He's been struggling with this for 2 years in secret. If you feel something happening to you, he might know the reason. Sakura looked away and Ino left. No one moved for a while. But eventually Naruto slipped out of bed and walked to Hinata's bed, where she was strapped down. He held up his hand and willed his claws to grow. They pushed out, long and razor sharp. He cut the bindings holding her down and removed her gag and blindfold. Sakura leapt to her feet shouting, what are you doing, Naruto? Exclamation mark quote. He said, what? You minds as well have been bit right. No one here is in danger now. Sakura wasn't so sure, but when Hinata practically leapt into Naruto's arms, she couldn't help but feel stupid. I should have known that she would go berserk if I tried to draw a blood sample. Vampires crave blood, right? So it's only natural for them to get angry if someone is trying to take their blood away. Now she seems like she forgot about it. Because you're one of us now. Sakura was snapped out of her thoughts by Hinata, who had stepped over to her. She felt Hinata hug her tightly and say, I'm so sorry, Sakura, it's just, when you tried to draw my blood. I couldn't stand it. Sakura let Hinata hug her. Then she felt the hug change. She heard Hinata's soft, sweet voice say, but you're going to pay for that, Sakura-chan. Sakura felt Hinata's teeth sink into her neck and tried to force herself away. She cried out as Hinata began to drink ravenously. A split second later Naruto pulled Hinata off her. Hinata's eyes were dark purple and she had wicked claws extended towards her. Sakura backed away, with a hand to her neck. That bite did not feel good at all. It was like 2 hot needles had been plunged into her neck, injecting acid into her. She didn't want to feel that again, so she kept her distance from Hinata. Go over to her. Expose your throat and let her drink. She'll forgive you. No, I won't do that. She might kill me. You're not listening. Offer yourself to her and she will take it as a peace offering. I said no and I meant no. Then give yourself to Naruto. Naruto? Yes, Naruto. Submit Sakura to his thirst. Let him make you feel pleasure. Naruto saw Sakura curl up into a ball on a bed in the far corner of the room. Hinata stopped struggling in his arms and laid still. She asked, "Do you want to bite me?" Naruto-kun. Naruto didn't trust himself to speak. She wants you to do it. Bite her. Drink from her till she screams. Feast. Naruto said, "I'm not really thirsty right now, Hina-chan. Maybe later." Hinata looked quite put out. She turned and he saw her pouting. It nearly broke his will to resist. He had wanted to see her pout for a long time. He said, "Just keep it up, Hinata, and I might just have to kiss you." She looked startled. Kiss me? Naruto-kun. What do you mean? Naruto leaned forward. Like this. His lips pressed to hers and he pulled her into him. She eyes widened for a second before closing. Ami sat up and saw them kissing and blushed. Her eyes wandered to various parts of the room, until Naruto pulled away from Hinata. The Hyuga had blushed red sometime during the kiss. Naruto asked, "Why are you blushing now, Hinata? You didn't seem so embarrassed when you were biting me." She looked at her feet. I don't know what came over me. Sorry, Naruto-kun. She looked up and asked, "But did it feel good?" Naruto asked, "Where did you get that idea?" Hinata stuttered and couldn't get an answer out. Ami asked, "If we are in quarantine, then what are we supposed to do while we wait?" Naruto shrugged and walked over to his bed. Ami made room for him. Hinata came to sit on his other side. Naruto pulled his legs up and put his hands together. He closed his eyes and began to meditate. Over in the corner, Sakura whimpered to herself. She was in a dark room, with moonlight streaming through windows, and she was cowering from herself. What's wrong, Sakura-chan? Do you feel thirsty? No. Too bad. And I thought you were a strong girl. Aren't you supposed to be the strongest kunoichi in the village? Leave me alone. I hate you. You're just a monster that's in my blood. Oh, now that actually hurt. The copy stood there smiling. She wore her hair long and was wearing a black combat vest. Under that she wore a robe of deepest crimson with long sleeves. Sakura saw that something was spattered across her face. Black droplets in the moonlight. You see, Sakura, you've always been a little crazy. That other voice you once had. The angry one. The one who fought your battles for you. Well, she's in me now, and I'm not going to help you until you give in. A drop of something fell on her face. Sakura looked up and a drop fell in her mouth. It tasted like sugar or nectar. Tastes good, doesn't it? Why don't you open your mouth a bit wider? Get a few more drops. Sakura realized what was raining onto her face now. It was blood. The apparition laughed. Now you can't even pretend you're not hungry. You're starving, drowning in your thirst. I didn't summon the bloody rain. You did. Your thirst gave you a taste of what you refused to try. Sakura couldn't speak. She could only watch as the other Sakura, whose hair was quickly turning red, kneeled in front of her. The other Sakura kissed her cheek and then slowly licked up her cheek. She felt fangs brush against her skin. Just admit it. You want to taste real blood. You want to quench that empty void with a river of red. Sakura was paralyzed as her duplicate licked the blood from her face and then whispered in her ear, "You have no idea how exciting it is to drink. You won't want to stop. Lap it up, Sakura. Sink your fangs into your friends, your enemies. Anyone who takes your fancy." Her double then kissed her on the lips, forcing her tongue into her mouth. The sweet taste washed over her. Closing parenthesis. Kakashi, Asuma, and Kurenai walked into Tsunade's office. They had just returned from destroying the third vampire nest they had found. Since vampires had started popping up all over the land of fire and the land of lightning, there had been numerous sightings of vampires. Thankfully, due to some part of the disease, victims seemed to lose the majority of their intelligence after prolonged infection. Anyone who had been afflicted for more than a month lost even their jutsus to madness. They killed with brute strength and unbelievable speed. Asuma opened the door to the office and the two behind him stepped in as well. Doten froze in their tracks. Tsunade was currently on her third bottle of sake. Two more lay on her desk. Paperwork was scattered to the left of her desk on the floor. The Hokage had her feet up on the table. The worst part was that she looked stone cold sober. Kurenai asked, "What the hell happened in here? It looks like a tornado hit." Asuma muttered, "Yeah, a drunk tornado." Tsunade slid her feet off the table and drained the last of the third bottle. Then with a steady hand withdrew a fourth from under the table. Kurenai stepped forward. "Hokage-sama, no. Whatever it is, we will need a clear head for this. Stop drinking and let us help." Tsunade seemed to consider this and pulled out 4 shot glasses and placed them on the table. She didn't say a word. Kakashi got the message and seated himself. After a moment, Kurenai and Asuma found chairs and sat as well. Once they were seated, Tsunade spoke. Shizune was bitten. Asuma's cigarette fell out of his mouth and both Kurenai and Kakashi paled. Tsunade poured each of them a full shot of sake and said, "Sakura was bitten." Kakashi coughed as though he had something very painful in his throat. Asuma looked like he had been smacked and Kurenai looked at the floor. Tsunade took each of their shot glasses in turn and drained each one. Naruto's seal failed. There was silence and all 3 Jonin tried to imagine what could have happened. Tsunade said, "That's not even the end of it." Horrified Kurenai asked, "Who else?" Quote. Tsunade swiveled in her chair, "Hinata Hyuga." Kurenai clutched at her chest. Asuma tried to comfort her. It was a very long time before they could ask the proper question. Kakashi asked, "Were they disposed of?" The other 2 Jonin tried to hide their pained expressions. They knew the answer. There was no cure for vampirism. They had tried with Naruto, but the fact that the seal had failed likely meant that the cure had a well. Tsunade shook her head. She said, "They are all alive and well as of now." All 3 gaped at her. She said, "For some reason they didn't lose their minds completely. So far as I can tell, Naruto is still the exact same boy as he was, and while Sakura has become very isolated, she hasn't degraded yet." Kurenai asked, "Then Hinata is alright?" Tsunade shook her head. "She seems okay sometimes, but certain things cause her to blow up." She held up her wrist where they could see a splint. "When Sakura and I tried to get a blood sample, she grabbed my wrist and splintered the bone to the point that I couldn't fully heal it. At the same time, she did something to Sakura. It seemed like a genjutsu because Sakura collapsed, and the syringe of blood went right into her leg." The 4 of them sat for a while thinking it over. Then they heard a beeping sound. Tsunade explained, "I gave Ino a headset so she could inform me of any changes or problems. Let me set it to speaker." A voice came out of the speaker bud, "Granny Tsunade. Granny Tsunade, you have to let me out of this cell." Sakura got out somehow. Ino's bleeding out. A cold chill went down everyone's spines at the same time. Tsunade asked, "Naruto, how did you get the microphone?" Quote. Naruto said hurriedly, "Ino fell against the cage bars. Oh geez, there's so much blood." They heard a gulp from the other side of the connection and a cough. Then Naruto said, "Maybe I shouldn't come out. I think I need to stay inside. Just hurry. Sakura-chan was acting really weird when we fell asleep. Now she's gone and there's no damage to the barrier." Tsunade nodded to the 3 Jonin. All 3 stood at once and left the room at a sprint. Sakura slipped through the cage bars. It was too easy. No problem at all for her. Ino was snoozing in a chair against the far wall. Sakura saw the fat vein that pumped blood through her neck. It looked so appetizing. Ino's tanned skin and blonde hair, it all made her seem more tasty. Ino woke with a start as Sakura bit down. Her mouth was already covered and her hands were tied. Sakura drank and drank. Ino. Eyes drooped and finally fell. Sakura stepped back when she finished and Ino fell out of the chair. She didn't want to kill her friend, but she had been so delicious. She made her stealthy way up the stairs to the right. At the top, an Anbu stood with his back to the stairway. Sakura drew her kunai and silently slit the man's throat. Red blood gushed out. He hadn't made a sound. Sakura smiled and pressed her open mouth to the gaping wound. Blood rushed into her mouth and down her throat. She would have moaned if she could have bothered to stop drinking. He was dead after all. No point in wasting any of the spoils. There was a sound down the hall. Footsteps. Sakura leapt across the room to hide in the shadowed corner. A young woman came into view, her face twisting in shock at the corpse above the stairs. Sharp fangs pierced her neck and a blade found its way into her spine. Sakura stabbed her with surgical precision, severing her spinal cord. Red dripped down Sakura's medical uniform as she greedily drank the crimson gush. This time Sakura moaned and her eyes lost focus from the pleasure that seemed to seep down her throat and then radiate out from her belly. The girl coughed up blood just before Sakura dropped her face first to the floor. It was too long before she found her next victim. A boy was standing at a desk arguing with a woman with black hair. Sakura recognized the boy. He was Konohamaru. The boy said, "Come on, Kimi. Just let me go see big brother Naruto for a bit. I know he's here 'cause I saw him taken here a few days ago. And he isn't anywhere else in the village." The woman said, "I'm sorry, but even if he was here you would need an appointment to see anyone." Konohamaru growled at her and turned to leave. Soon the boy was out of sight. Sakura didn't think it was a good idea to attack two at once. The woman, Kimi, saw something move in the shadows of the hallway. "It's that damn kid again. Honorable son of the honorable third Mai. He's trying to sneak past me. Little bastard." A flash of pink and red proved her wrong. She fell back with a shout. Powerful jaws and sharp teeth were already draining her of her breath. And a cold sharp pain in her chest showed her the impossibility of escape. Her attacker leaned back, still with a hand to her throat. Kimi saw Sakura, Tsunade's prodigal medical student. The girl who could use the 100 healings technique at age 17. Her lips dripped blood and she was smiling. She asked, "Staying late were we, Kimi?" "Well, I'm happy for you, and me." Kimi was horrified less by the blood dripping from Sakura's mouth, than the chipper, almost, happy tone of her voice. Sakura said, "I thank you so much. I was so thirsty, just couldn't help myself." Sakura giggled and bent her head to drink. Kimi knew that she was going to die. It was almost pleasant. No pain, and she never thought that she would be killed in such a friendly way. The night outside Hokage's tower was filled with stars. Sakura looked up at them. The cool air chilled the blood that covered her chin and neck. Red had already soaked into her nurse's vest. Sakura thought, "It's such a beautiful night and I'm not so thirsty anymore. I wonder if I should go back and let the others out. No. Naruto-kun would just try and stop me. I don't know why. He must be as thirsty as me. I think I need a bath." Sakura headed for the hot springs. The hot springs were empty when she got there. She quickly stripped and waded into the water. It felt so good. She liked the scalding water. It made her feel so hot inside. Kind of like when she was first biting Ino. Sakura thought about what she had done. Doubt made its intrusion into her mind. What was I doing killing them? I should have let them live. I'm a medical ninja. I'm supposed to save people, not kill them. You had to feed or you would have suffered even more. You're not like Naruto-kun. He can resist. Not us though. Who are you anyway? I'm glad you asked, and now that I'm not starving I'll tell you. I am your hunger. I'm also your power. Not all of it, of course. But the more you feed, the more power I can lend you. You must thank Naruto though. Why, what does Naruto have to do with anything? I might as well have been bitten by Hinata. Yes, well, Hinata was bitten by Naruto, and Naruto is the first of us to stay him, when he changes. Now that he has made us the same, we stay intelligent instead of going blood crazed. You don't call killing 3 innocent people blood crazed. No. We were starving. We couldn't be faulted for needing to drink. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I guess you're right. There was a splash and the water around her rippled. Sakura opened her eyes. Hey Tenten, what are you doing here? Tenten gave her a worried look. I could ask you the same question, seeing all that blood in your hair and on your face. Did you get smashed in the head? Sakura put her hands to her head. They came away, sticky with blood. Tenten came forward in the water. She said, "Here, let me take a look at that." Sakura saw Tenten's body cut through the water towards her. She saw the blood where it had rushed to the skin. When Tenten was close, the weapon's mistress reached out to hold Sakura's head. Inside her mind, her hunger said, "We are thirsty again. She looks sweet. Take her now." Sakura lunged and captured Tenten's arms with her hands. Tenten grinned, "So you want to wrestle even with a head wound? You must have knocked something loose." Tenten allowed Sakura to trap both of her arms so she could wrap her legs around Sakura's legs. She slipped backward with Tenten on top of her. The hot water enveloped both of them. Tenten felt a slight sting on her, near her armpit. She thought, so she's going for pressure points, huh? Well, that won't work on me. Then she felt something sharp slip into her flesh, just under her jaw. She punched out and rose to the surface. Both of them broke the surface of the water at the same time. Tenten looked down at her chest. Blood was streaming down her neck and into the water. There was so much blood. Tenten looked up. What the hell, Sakura? I think that fighting dirty is just part of winning, and I've bit you during a fight once, but you took it a bit too far. Sakura smirked. I never once challenged you to a wrestling match, and I wasn't biting you to win. She smiled warmly. I was biting you because you taste good. The weapon's mistress obviously thought that she was joking because she waded back to her own side of the bath. Yeah, well, I never thought you were into that sort of thing, but I guess annoying as you used to be. Sakura waded after her. Tenten turned just in time for Sakura to bite deep into her neck. She gasped as she felt the blood draining out of her. Sakura's arms were too strong. She couldn't break free, and she knew now that something was horribly wrong. Sakura never came to the hot springs at night. She was always clean before she even got in, and she rarely started the wrestling matches. That was usually Ino. It hit her then. Sakura's fangs were in her neck. She had been way too slow noticing that one crucial detail. She should have noticed it first thing, but she hadn't. She had been too distracted by the blood. Now there was more blood pouring down. It dripped between there as they were tightly pressed together. Tenten tried to shout, even though there was little or no chance of anyone finding her here. And even less chance that they would be able to handle a vampire unprepared. Then, just as Tenten thought Sakura was draining the last drops of blood out, the pink-haired girl pulled out. Tenten felt Sakura drag her out of the hot spring and bandage her neck. She looked up at Sakura as the medical vampire worked. Tenten thought, why Sakura? Vampires aren't supposed to be smart or retain memories. But you bit me and now you're healing my wounds. What is happening to me? Is this a dream? I didn't feel any pain when she bit me or during the fight. I must be dreaming, that's it. Sakura said, thanks for the drink. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you later, Tenten. There should have been complete chaos, but here wasn't. The Ambu had done their job so well it was nearly unbelievable. Kakashi, who was carrying a heavily drugged Sakura, trudged down the stairs to the new holding cell. Asuma was right behind him. He was carrying Tenten. Tenten had been found freshly bandaged at the Konoha hot springs. It was clear that she had been bitten. Kurenai was currently taking care of Tenten, Hinata's, and Sakura's parents. Inoichi, Ino's father, was already apprised of the situation. Suffice to say, he was not happy. Kakashi and Asuma finally made their way into the underground chamber where those who had been bitten were being kept. Shukaku, who was the father of Shikamaru, was standing guard over the vampires inside. The Jonin Shadow Master was sitting in a chair, as far from the cage as he could get. Tsunade had sent him to figure out what he could about the new patients, but so far he hadn't learned much that helped. Kakashi said, "We got Sakura and Tenten here. They need to go in." Shukaku looked up as he spoke. "Well, looks like you two had some trouble getting Sakura here." Asuma nodded. "That we did. She nearly took my head off and she came within a hair of biting Kakashi's throat out." Kakashi said, "One thing is for sure. She retained all of her abilities and knowledge and yet also has gained vampire strength and speed." Shukaku sighed. "That is both good and bad." Asuma asked, "What does that mean?" Shukaku said, "It's bad for the exact reason you mentioned, but it's also an excellent opportunity to learn about the abilities one gains from the bite." He motioned to those inside the brightly lit cage. Naruto was meditating while Hinata leaned against him sleeping. Ami was writing in a journal of some sort. Shukaku asked, "Did they look crazy or evil to you?" "No. It's because for whatever reason they didn't lose their minds. And as far as I can tell they never went through the second or third stages of transformation." Kakashi said, "That great, but can we get these two inside before we have to clobber one of them?" Shukaku nodded and went to unlock the door. He pulled it open and Kakashi and Asuma entered. As they walked to the back of the cage, Hinata woke up and looked around. She sat up and gazed at Sakura. She asked, "What happened to her?" Asuma, taken by surprise, took a quick step to the side. Hinata's eyes were a deep purple. They seemed to swim with emotion. Asuma quickly noted her claws and fangs. He said, "Hey Hinata. It's been a while. It's good to see you're actually alright." Hinata nodded. Then her eyes went wide. "Is that Tenten?" Quote. Kakashi said, "Yes, Sakura bit her last night when she escaped." As Kakashi and Asuma set their burdens down, they both saw a look flash across Hinata's face. It happened so fast that neither could get a good read on it. However, it struck them both with unease. Neither of them liked that flash of emotion. Those shy eyes and that friendly smile changed for a brief second. Kakashi and Asuma sprinted to the door and let Shukaku close it. Ami looked up at them as though she had just noticed them. Asuma practically jumped out of his skin. Ami's eyes had changed even more than Hinata's. Her eyes, once brown, were red with black slits for pupils. Shukaku said, "I guess you noticed it too. This is something else that has me worried. So far everyone who has been bitten during this incident had developed some kind of ocular change. Normally vampire eyes change to a glowing red and stay that way permanently. But their eyes are all different and none are like normal vampire eyes." Kakashi asked, "Do you think it's significant?" The other man sighed, "I'm afraid at this point, we know so little that everything is significant." The girl with the demonic eyes seemed bored and twisted to look back at Naruto and the two new girls knocked out behind him. She yawned, showing her long white fangs and disappeared. Asuma and Kakashi, along with Shukaku, panicked for a second. Then the girl reappeared next to Naruto. Hinata immediately turned away from examining Sakura, to whisper to Naruto. Asuma asked, "Did I just see that or am I falling for a genjutsu?" Shukaku said, "Actually you did just see that, but no, that's not a vampire ability. It's actually her own special skill. However, it seems to have been heightened by the disease. In her file it says that she can flicker during a fight to appear right behind an enemy, but it's classified as a last resort because of the massive amount of chakra required to use it. Somehow she can use it to instantly transport from one place to another over long distances. But don't worry, it isn't a teleportation jutsu. She is just moving super fast. She can't sprint through the bars of this cage." Asuma sighed. "Good, you had me worried for a second there. Well, I need to go with Kakashi to report our success." Kakashi waved goodbye as they left. Shukaku sat back down, keeping an eye on those inside the cage. He couldn't hear what they said, but he was more cautious than half the Ambu put together. Naruto listened to the girls on either side of him. Ami said, Naruto-kun, what are they going to do with us? Are they going to kill us because of what we turned into? He said, no, I wouldn't let anyone kill you. Besides, I think the only people who would try would be that prick Danzo and his flunkies. Hinata whispered, but what if the villagers find out what happened at the bunker? What about what Sakura did while she was out last night? What if she killed someone? Naruto didn't know why they were turning to him for directions. He was just as lost for an answer as them. He thought, why do they want me to do something? Is it just because I was the first one who went through this? Or is it because I am friends with most of the village's shinobi? It's because you turned them. They have instinctive trust in you. And every time you bite someone, your power grows to protect your new servant. What the hell? I thought I told you to get lost. And what do you mean by servant? Hinata is not my servant and neither is Ami. You are the master now. Your blood runs through their veins. You can command them, Naruto. They will do your bidding. The voice laughed, though, they would probably do that anyway. In either case, they look for you to protect them now. Don't fail them. He felt the presence of that other thing recede into his mind again. He didn't know what that was all about, but he needed to find out if it was true. He thought of something unreasonable to ask, yet something that wouldn't cause trouble. Eventually he said, it doesn't matter if the villagers find out. Tsunade has the respect of the Leaf Village and the loyalty of most of its shinobi. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Anyway, I was kind of thirsty, so. Ami and Hinata almost collided in his lap, trying to get there first. Hinata said, let me, Naruto-kun. Ami said, no, bite me please. Naruto put a finger to his lips. They both went silent. A little light bulb came on in Naruto's head. He whispered, Hinata, go get Sakura. I'll try her first. The two girls looked incredibly sad, but they stood to retrieve Sakura's still unconscious body. Naruto said, wait. Come back. A second later they were right there again. Naruto thought, I'm pretty sure now. They will do anything I tell them, even if they really don't want to. Hinata still isn't happy about Sakura trying to draw her blood, so she should have refused to let Sakura have the privilege. Wait, did I just think that? Good. You understand now. They need to serve you, to do whatever you desire. And they want to feed. But you can feed from them and they will love it. Naruto could feel his fangs lengthening. Suddenly he was very thirsty. He pulled Ami to him and kissed her neck. She whimpered and tried to push his head down hard into her throat. He bit down and let the blood flow. Ami moaned, oh, please drink more. She wrapped her arms around him as he satisfied his thirst. A minute later Naruto pulled out of her neck. She had lost the strength in her arms and legs. Her red eyes pleaded with him to bite down again, but she was too weak at the moment. Ami was already falling asleep. Her eyes closed as she slipped down into his lap. Hinata seemed to be tired of waiting. Naruto-kun, you're still thirsty, try me next. He didn't need her to offer a second time. His hand pulled her in close and he drew his fangs across the delicate skin of her throat. She closed her eyes in preparation for the bite. Then she felt his fangs sink in. She did her best to stay conscious, but all too soon pleasure and blood loss put her to sleep. Her master let her slip to the floor. Naruto hadn't felt this strong in a long time. He felt like he could destroy anything in his path. A moan and a cough came from behind him. He twisted around to see Tenten sitting up. Naruto was surprised that she had woken up before Sakura. The weapon's mistress caught Naruto's gaze. He looked her up and down. She was, save for a few concealing bandages. She seemed to realize she was close to being at the same time. She quickly pulled the blanket up to cover herself. Naruto picked Ami up and gently laid her to the side. Then he stood up and walked to Tenten. Her hair was a mess and her face was red with embarrassment. He sat beside her on the bed. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Naruto eventually said, I'm a vampire. Tenten gulped. And I've been one for about 2 years. I was bitten shortly after we received news about the Atkiski being wiped out. I'm sorry you were dragged into this. Tenten said, I guess it's not so bad. I mean, you seem normal if a bit depressed. And Sakura seemed to be thinking clearly even if she was trying to drink my blood. So maybe I'll keep my wits too. Naruto looked away saying, it's not that simple and this time things are different. He paused. Tenten, can I ask you a question? She nodded slowly. He asked, are you thirsty? The question hit her like a load of bricks. Tenten trembled and shivered the instant he asked if she was thirsty. A blood-red exclamation mark formed in her mind. Yes. Naruto turned his back to her saying, go ahead and drink. You don't want to be thirsty. Before he could say another word, Tenten's teeth were in his neck. He flinched at the pressure. Does she have to bite a chunk out of me? Exclamation mark. As he thought that she relaxed her jaw. Tenten drank steadily until they both heard a thump. Naruto looked to his right. Shizune had rolled out of bed. She pushed herself to her knees as they watched. Naruto said, Tenten, let go. She obeyed quickly, giving a small lick at his neck. She said, sorry I bit you so hard, but I couldn't help it. The look on her face changed to a lustful, dreamy expression. But I never thought it would taste so good. Any contrition that might have been present on her face was strangely absent. Naruto didn't answer, approaching Shizune. The woman looked up and saw him coming. Her eyes went wide and she tried to crawl backwards. Naruto tried to reassure her. Shizune, wait. I'm okay now. I won't try to hurt you. She looked up at him in fear. Shizune put her hands up and quickly made 3 hand signs. At the end she thrust her hands at Naruto's heart. Nothing happened and Naruto took her by the hands. He said, it's me, please don't be scared. Tenten jumped over to where Naruto knelt with Shizune. She said, hey Shizune-san, everything is fine now. You're safe. He nodded. Shizune looked between them. She coughed, trying to speak, but was unable. Struggling to get words out, she finally pointed at Tenten's mouth. Naruto turned. Tenten had a thin ribbon of blood that graced her chin. The weapon's mistress seemed confused until Naruto pointed out, Tenten, your chin. Tenten thought, oh, she brought a finger and erased the trickle of blood, and, almost as an afterthought, licked it clean. It probably wasn't the best thing to do under the circumstances. Shizune tried to crawl away again. She saw Shukaku on the other side of the room, behind substantial cage bars. Getting to her feet, she darted for him. He looked up as she reached the cage bars. Shizune managed to gasp, Shukaku, get me out of here. Tenten and Naruto are both vampires. Why did you stick me in here? Exclamation mark quote. Shukaku slowly stood saying, well, you were bit as well, so we couldn't let you stay outside. So far everyone that has been affected as a result of Naruto. Shukaku paused. Has retained their intelligence and personality. You're perfectly safe in there, Shizune. The Hokage's assistant asked. Then what happened? I see. 7 people in here besides me. How could this have happened? Shukaku said. Naruto bit you, Hinata, Ami, and Kara. Then Sakura was accidentally injected with a sample of tainted blood. She managed to escape a different cell, where she bit Tenten and Ino. Shukaku yawned. Overall, that means there were only 8 shinobi affected and no civilians bitten or killed. However, there have been numerous people killed. So far we have counted around 22 deaths related to this incident. Shizune let herself sink to a sitting position. So many have died. How could this have happened? And it all started with attempting to make a cure. Shizune heard a ringing laugh. It was like clear bells. She turned her head to look behind her. Naruto and Tenten looked back at her. Oh, I'm not over there. Shizune thought that the voice sounded like it was coming from right beside her. Getting warmer, Shizune-chan. No, wait, it's almost like it's inside my head. I think we have a winner. So my dear girl, how are we? Wait. Don't answer that. I think we should talk face to face. She felt like she was falling and darkness closed in on her. Shizune opened her eyes. She was in a massive room. With bright, hospital white walls and medical equipment all over the place. Turning around, it became clear that the room was empty. Shizune heard a voice come from behind her. She whipped around. Take it easy. I'm on your side. Who are you? Answer me now. Well, you could call me Shizune, but that would get confusing. How about you call me Shizu? What are you talking about? Are you trying to say that you're me? Cause even though you look like me, I would never wear that. Shizu looked down at herself. She was wearing a white skin-tight shirt that showed of her stomach. She was also wearing a wide black belt with ninja tools arranged on it. Last, she was wearing a skirt also in white. Shizu asked, "What's wrong with what I'm wearing? I think it makes us look good." Us? Shizune asked this rhetorically. Shizu answered it anyway. Yes, us. Haven't you realized it yet? I am you, at least I have a fashion sense. Anyway, you need to drink something soon or you're going to collapse. Then I would have to take over for you. Shizune got a really bad feeling at that. What do you mean by, take over? I would think that it was clear what I meant. If you can't move, then I'll move for you. I am looking out for our best interest after all. Shizune asked, are you the vampire part of my mind that takes over when I turn? Shizu seemed insulted. Who do you think you are? Talking to me like that? I'm the only one who has kept you sane for the past 3 or 4 days, you've been without blood. So what are you? The girl sighed and slipped off the table she was sitting on. Her bare feet made no sound as she walked towards her. Shizu pulled off her top, exposing her. She said, now we both know exactly how our look. You've looked at yourself in the mirror enough. Shizune had to admit that they were physically identical. Now look. Shizu smiled, showing long pearly white fangs. Then she showed off her claws. I am you, just with a few extras. Something occurred to Shizune. Let me ask, do vampires normally have? You? No. You are special. Well, you and the others that have Naruto's blood. If you really want to know, I'll tell you. Naruto's demon blood altered the vampire blood in him. So naturally when he bit others, it transferred. Is that why the cure didn't work? Shizu seemed pensive. She walked past Shizune, still thinking. As she walked, she started humming. After a few moments, she hopped up on a lab table cross-legged. She then assumed the thinker pose. Well, I'm not sure. Even though I'm you, I'm not just like you as far as how I think. I have all your memories, but I'm more action-oriented. What is that supposed to mean? Shizu pulled her top back down and grinned. Let me put it this way. I am part of your personality that has been given form inside your mind. I suppose that means that, given the way I think, I'm your emotional side. I don't really have the concentration to figure out stuff like that. They both stayed silent for a moment, then Shizune asked, so do I have to drink blood to survive? Shizu frowned. Yeah, you have to drink blood. I would say about once or twice a day to be satisfied. And once every 2 days to stay healthy. Oh, and by the way, because Naruto bit you, you will never fully turn. That surprised Shizune. Never. What does that even mean? You know, vampires lose their minds when they fully turn. But you won't go crazy or lose your wits, even though you'll get all my powers. What do you mean by your powers? I'm the mental embodiment of your vampire powers as well, silly. Shizu tapped her fangs before saying, anyway, I like talking to you in person, but you need to find some blood. So I'll let you go for now. Wait, where do I get blood? I'm locked up. Any of the others in the cage with you. None of them have fully turned, or ever will, so their blood is fine. Okay. Thanks, Shizu.